My life matters so much to you? Stop toying around with me.
No, you don't understand.
What do you even want? To stab me until I'm yours forever? Is that it?
Never. John is so good and kind. I would never need to stab him. Please come away. I'll take good care of you.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Crimson Gray. I'm your host, the Birdman Mr Falcon. You're thinking, oh, what is this? Another one of your hentai games, Falcon. Supposed to be one of those like Yandere type of games, but it's more on the horror side. So we're like in October and Spooktober. I figured we'd check out something that's supposed to be scary, but not scary because it's a game that wants to give me a heart attack, but more scary because of how creepy it actually is. And I heard some pretty good things about this. A second or part 2 of it released recently, so if you guys enjoyed this, want to see a bit more, we could probably do the entire thing. And if you guys do enjoy it enough, we could probably even check out the second part afterwards. But I'd figure I'd throw this out as a bit of a feeler outer, you know? John had always thought of himself as a stable person. Stability worked out well when he was just trying not to let the little things get him down. It wasn't so great when everything was crumbling around him. When the entire world started seeming gray and flat, then he began wondering if all that stability would kill him, and if he would care when it did. There weren't any highs or lows anymore. Whatever happened to him, John didn't feel happy or sad. He just... Hey! Oh, what are you doing spacing out, man? You're a real head case these days, John. You going away afloat on us, huh? Sorry, just distracted. A moment later, he started drifting away again. Even his friends' voices were nothing but buzzing in his ears, meaningless sounds echoing in his hollow shell. They weren't even really his friends. They were friends with the happy-go-lucky person he'd been at the beginning of high school. These days, they joked about him being no fun. But it was more than a joke. They'd get tired of him, find someone else, and then he'd be alone. He wasn't sure whether or not that would be worse. Whoa! Is that creepy chick staring at us?
I think she is. Who is that anyway?
Oh, Lizzie Dawes, I think. In our year, right? John, doesn't she have mad with you or something? It took John a second to even register the question. They were staring at some girl who was staring back at them. Alright. She looked the same as all the other girls at their school. Shyer, maybe. She could probably hear them talking about her. He wanted to say something, but kept silent.
Damn, she really is staring.
Is she staring at us or John?
I think it's him. You think she's a stalker?
Yeah, well, those some crazy eyes. You better watch out, John.
You're a real sad sack these days, but you could do better than her.
Shut up. The words were past his lips before he could stop them. Why did he have to open his mouth now, of all times? But he couldn't let them keep talking about her like that. People called him creepy or crazy all the time, and he hated it. But after those 2 words, he just stood out there like an idiot. Even when something mattered to him, he couldn't pull himself together. What's wrong with you, man? Don't say things like that about people you don't know. She's just hanging out up here like we are.
No, she's giving us some serious crazy eyes.
Just leave her alone, okay? She hasn't done anything to you. Sheesh, okay, man.
You think she's gonna fall in love with you as her handsome protector or something?
Haha, that'd be just like John.
You want us to talk to the crazy girl? Be our guest. We're heading back to class.
Don't wait up, man. The way her eyes moved, John thought she was focused on him so intensely that she might not have even heard what the others said. Did it even bother her? He wished he could be like that instead of the smallest of things sending him crashing into a state of wordlessness. But maybe she was like him, just capable of hiding it. John cleared his throat and walked up to check on her. Hey, sorry about them. They can be a-holes sometimes. Well, I guess I don't have a lot to say. Sorry if we bothered you. John slunk away and cursed his own idiocy. She had been fine without him. He just made everything worse.
Thank you. You're so kind. Such a kind person. The kindest person. The only person. I found you. I finally found you. I found you. Found you. Found you. You.
The teacher's voice was incomprehensible, but John knew he must be picking it up on some level. He wasn't sure how, but even though he stumbled through every day, he was doing okay in school. He could seem normal whenever he wanted to. It just didn't feel worth it. That was almost the worst part. He seemed normal even though nothing was normal anymore. It wouldn't ever be normal again. What did Mrs. Smith say? High functioning depression? Such an awful empty phrase. At least class was over now. He could go home, sleepwalk through his assignment, and then fall unconscious. At least for a few hours he could. Then he became aware of her. She was watching him. Maybe she wanted to thank him? No. He was being stupid. He'd done nothing worth thanking. More likely she wanted something from him, or, most likely of all, maybe she didn't care about him and he was just imagining the whole thing. She was still staring though. Ignore her, lose her in the hallways, glare at her, smile at her, go talk to her. Glare at her! Just give her the old stink eye in return, huh? Lose her in the hallways? Well, we know she's probably not right, but he doesn't know that. So, smile at her? Her expression was impossible to read. Was she shy? Was she embarrassed for him? Either way, he doubted it mattered. He needed to get to his appointment anyway. He didn't want Mrs. Smith getting mad at him again. Mrs. Smith was one of the only people John could focus on. He wasn't sure how much good she actually did him aside from prescribing medicine, but at least she tried to help. And Mrs. Smith's got it going on too, huh?
John, you're not looking so bad today. Did something good happen? A boy your age ought to be more interested in girls. Are you dating someone?
No, I can't focus on people.
Maybe I could prescribe you something for that.
What, you gonna prescribe me Viagra or something or what? Get excited around the females?
We don't have any on hand now, but I could get it quickly. That's an advantage of having Koi Tech in town.
I don't want to take this medicine anymore. I don't think it's working.
The Paxitine? But that's the first one you've really responded to.
I feel worse. Everything is so gray. Voices just echo. Can I go back to the generic medicine?
John, you need to understand that you are deeply clinically depressed. It's my professional opinion that you should under no conditions go off your medication. When you're getting used to a medication, there can be some initial side effects. Some things have to get worse before they can get better, okay?
Okay. All he heard was that he was too broken for any drug to fix. He was so worthless, even the newest drugs from Koitek didn't do anything.
I'll renew your Paxitine prescription and see about getting you a complimentary drug. We'll figure this out yet, John. Now, why don't you lie down over there and we can begin our session? Good. Get comfortable. Did anything special happen during the day today?
No, it was a normal day. The therapy session quickly fell away into a meaningless buzz. For a short time at least, he didn't feel the emptiness. Finally, or too soon, it was over. Mrs. Smith told him he was doing well and sent him on his way. John slumped back home. The house was empty, like it always was. Ever since his mother left, his father spent all his time working. He did his homework, he ate, he cleaned his dishes, he sat down in front of the TV and stared at it without turning it on. Somehow, he dragged himself into bed and fell asleep. The routine used to be comforting, but now it's starting to erode his sanity. His mind had to crack eventually. Maybe it was already happening. For a second, he thought he saw a girl out his window. Oh, I think he probably did. But no, there was nothing. Of course there wasn't. He really was losing it. Another day. He had to face it somehow. It seemed impossible until the moment he finally stumbled into class. School was the usual mindless buzz. There was a job fair announced in third period, as if that meant anything at all. Almost everyone in their school would either go to work for Koitek, move away, or stay in town and become unemployed. John wondered which one of these would happen to him. But from a distance, as if he was thinking about some person he barely knew. His grades were good enough to get into Koitek, but the process was so competitive. No, he didn't have enough energy for that. He couldn't imagine moving away, looking for a job in a strange city. Most mornings, the most he could imagine was surviving the day. But his father wouldn't support him, and his mother didn't want him. Once he graduated, there'd be no way he could stay with either of them. What would happen to him then? Would he just become homeless? Sit there in the street begging for change until one night he froze to death? Maybe that was all he deserved. John, are you alright? Sorry, sir. I'm paying attention, honestly. I didn't ask that. I asked if you were alright. I'm fine. Well, be sure to talk to the council if you're feeling bad, alright? We're lucky to have someone like Mrs. Smith with us. His locker was in the bottom row, so he always had to bend down, and there was a piece of paper sitting in the middle of his locker. Cheer up. That was all it said. Nothing on the backside, no other clues. Probably a girl's handwriting. Who left it? Hey, did you see anyone messing with my locker? Huh? Did something get stolen? Oh, there's way too many guys around here for me to notice. It might have been a girl leaving a note. Like a love note? I keep dreaming, John. You think any girl is going to love you, your sorry ass? No. Of course no one could love him. So, you didn't see anyone. Okay, thanks. Hey, John. You gonna tell me she's a Canadian? I'm heading back to class. See you later. And she's really hot, right? You imagine your girlfriend sounds amazing. What a jerk-off. John knew he should probably just take some more Pexidine and head back to class, yet he was still holding on to the paper. He wasn't sure why. It really could be a prank, one of the guys trying to trick him. If so, it would probably be followed by another fake note asking him to come out under that stupid confession tree, where they let him wait and then laugh at him. But just for a moment, he saw the girl watching him. Could it have been her? By the time he got to class, John had a new theory. She felt sorry for him. He must have looked pretty pathetic, and she recognized his misguided good intentions enough to feel pity. The rest of the school day passed in more of a blur than usual. He might be delusional, but part of John still hoped it wasn't a prank. He headed to his locker, not daring to imagine anything, and there was another paper waiting there for him. They shouldn't say those things about you. And that's a completely different writing than the first one. It didn't even look like the same. Yeah, that's what I said. The first had beautiful calligraphy. This one was a hurried scrawl. If it was a prank, he no longer had any idea where they were going with this. He'd already been beating himself up over saying the wrong thing, so this was just too much for John. He headed straight home to get some sleep before he cracked completely. The next day, John went as early as possible and approached his locker anxiously. He wasn't sure what he wanted to find. There was no note this time, but there was a chocolate heart wrapped in foil, set in the exact center of the bottom of his locker. John stared. How the hell did that get inside of there? Like, I understand slipping a note through the crack somewhere, right? A chocolate, though? John stared at it for a while, then slipped it into his pocket and headed to class, even though he knew he would be far too early. There was no way he could eat it. If it was really a prank, they might have slipped a laxative or something inside of it. That was the kind of thing that his friends thought it was funny. But if it was that girl, it didn't matter now. What mattered was that someone clearly knew his locker combination and could get in whenever they wanted. That could be a real problem. Alright, so luckily they didn't skimp out on the fact that somebody got into the locker that way. He knew he should come up with a solution before tomorrow. But what? Okay. Tell the teacher, tell Mrs. Smith, try to keep a watch on the locker, replace the lock, or leave a note. Try to keep a watch on the locker, maybe, right? Could replace the lock too, sure. John spent the whole day near the door or hanging out in the hallway, trying to catch a glimpse of someone messing with his locker. He didn't see anyone, but there weren't any new messages either. Periodically throughout the day, he felt certain that someone was watching him, but he could never tell who. John lingered at school until he was just basically the last student, seeing no one. When he finally went home, though, the sense of being watched just intensified until he went to sleep. Because she's outside of the window staring at you, man. When he woke up the next day, he felt a little bit better. Things would be fine so long as he kept everything in perspective. Maybe. Making an effort to set the mystery of the locker aside, John went to his friends and to the rooftop for lunch. They spread out on one side, enjoying the sight of the trees below. Midway through the meaningless conversation, John noticed that Lizzie was watching him from a far side of the roof. Her gaze was even more intense than before, so he uncomfortably tried to ignore her and focus on the conversation. Looks like the confession tree's in full bloom, huh?
Hey, you really believe those stories? True love and all that?
It works, man. I've got a buddy who just graduated. He swears he got so much pee confessing under it.
Well, if he kept doing it, it wouldn't be true love now, is it?
Come on, people have been confessing that for years. You seriously think everyone will confess under the tree if it did nothing?
Nah, man. I think it's a tree of lust. It doesn't guarantee true love, just getting laid.
If that's true, way more guys will be into it. But it's mostly girls from what I've seen. What do you think, John? I don't know. Don't be that way. You dream of a girl confessing to you under that tree, don't you?
Yeah, like that crazy stalker chick. It'd make your heart go all flutter if she confessed, wouldn't it?
That tree is magic, man, I'm telling you. Even a sad sack like you could get lucky if you confess there. Don't be stupid. It's just a tree.
Oh, someone has their panties in a twist.
Hey, I'm telling you, everyone goes there to... Only because people like you keep telling these stories. There's nothing magic about the tree. People just believe it's special because everyone else says it is. Girls think the tree is romantic, so of course they're more likely to agree there, and guys would have to turn someone down in front of an audience. That's all it is. Crap, man. What is wrong with you today?
With an attitude like that, you're never gonna get a girl.
You insulted the tree, it'll cock block you now. That day, John couldn't get to his therapy appointment fast enough. Mrs. Smith smiled at him when he came in, but immediately saw he was unhappy.
Are you okay, John? Perhaps you should be on a stronger formulation.
No.
Well, our session should make you feel better. Lie down and get comfortable.
Mrs. Smith, does Paxatine have any unusual side effects, visual side effects?
I should hope not. Koitek has the highest of standards for every drug it puts out, and Paxatine is nearing its final clinical trials. Are you having any vision problems?
John laid back, and I guess I should say laid back, it should be past tense, and stared out the window. Was he really seeing differently, or was it all in his head? He stared a long time before he opened his mouth and just started talking. Everything just feels so gray.
So you are having vision problems?
Not literally gray, it's just the sky today. I remember when I was younger, I always thought clouds were beautiful. Now it's like, there's just nothing there. Nothing that matters. I look up and I just don't care.
That sounds more likely to be a mental issue then. Why don't you get more relaxed and talk about it?
Taking a deep breath, John did his best. As usual, after talking with Mrs. Smith for long enough, he felt not better, necessarily, but at least not miserable. Their session went by in a flash, and then he had to head home. He shuffled through his routine easily enough, slept fitfully, and then returned to school, barely more rested. But when he arrived, he found a huge crowd standing and staring. What's going on?
You know that tree students like to confess under?
The words made John shiver, even though he wasn't entirely sure why. He shifted to look through the crowd, and then he saw it. Well, it's not there anymore, that's for a fact. Parts of the tree were still burning, but the rest was char, and ashes coated the ground near it. His throat was dry, as if all the ashes were filling it. What happened? The cops are coming to check it out, but the shop teacher said it looked like arson. Someone covered the tree in gasoline and burned it down. That's arson. Yeah. See, this is why we need cameras. I've been telling the principal for years, but does he listen to me? No. No one thinks. The words slid off his mind, and John turned away without even saying goodbye. Not entirely sure what he was doing, he stumbled straight to his locker. When he opened his locker, he discovered a folded note set in the exact center, like always. He stared at it for a long moment before unfolding it with trembling hands. I didn't like that tree either. You know what makes it so creepy? It's the freaking face. Like, the context of it is creepy because it's kind of like an admission in a way. But then you add this little face over here, it just kind of like completely goes over the top, where it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you're not right. He stared at the words as if they were in a foreign language, wishing he could avoid understanding the conclusion. I didn't like that tree either. It was her. It had to be. None of his friends would be that insane. And what would be the point of a prank like that? But what was the point for her? What did she think she'd accomplished? Should he tell someone? But this wasn't exactly evidence, and did he really want her to get in that much trouble? John decided he was being stupid like usual. He just needed to talk to her and find out exactly what was going on. Put an end to this. That day, whenever he was in the hallways, he could feel her eyes on him. With every passing moment, he became more sure that she had burned the tree down. He wondered if a normal person would be afraid now, but for him, it barely penetrated his numbness. He just wanted to find out what was wrong and put an end to it. It took until the after school for him to find his chance. When the teacher handed out assignments, he volunteered to clean the roof. John stepped onto the roof and headed to the far side. After a few seconds, he heard the door open again. He ignored it and instead climbed up to the tank. The upper area was meant to be blocked off, but the janitors had stopped putting up the ladder years ago. He turned and to his shock, she was already coming up the ladder behind him. Reaching the top, she held her hands close to her chest and shuffled her feet demurely, but there was a spark in her eyes. "Hello, Lizzie. Are you never gonna greet me?"
Hello. I said it.
Why are you following me?
Because
Could this girl really have burned down the tree? It doesn't seem like she had it in her. Were you the one leaving me notes in my locker?
Yes.
How did you know my combination?
I watched you. Why were you watching? Who else would do that for you? Is there another girl? No, you wouldn't do that, surely not.
John realized that he was way over his head, yet his mouth was still moving, asking the inevitable question. Why did you burn it down?
Because it was a stupid tree. You're so smart and you said it just right. It was awful and stupid and I hate it. I hate it. It's all because of you, John. I could never do what needed to be done before. Now I can.
She wasn't stable. She wasn't even close. What had he gotten himself into?
I finally found you. You're the only one for me.
Part of him knew that he should do something, run away, call for help, yet... Why?
Huh?
Why do you care about me?
How can you ask that? You're the best person. The only person.
I'm just another high school boy. No, not even that. I'm worthless.
No. Don't say that. It's not true. It's not.
I'm broken. My brain doesn't work right, and even the strongest drugs don't make a difference.
No, that's not true, John. It's perfect. How can you say these things?
The way her words flowed together, addressing him directly one moment and in third person the next, bothered him almost as much as the look in her eyes. Whatever her issue was, it went deep. You're not well, Lizzie. You need help.
You said my name.
But I can't help you. I'm not worth anything to anyone. Just forget about me and find someone else to care about.
No, I could never. You're the only person who matters.
But why? You don't even know me. You don't care about me. I'm just part of your problem.
No.
It would be better if I was gone. Maybe you'd get better then.
That's not true. It's not. I love you, John. I've always loved you. I've watched you. Always. You're so good. And kind and perfect and even to a girl like me.
He could barely even listen to her words. John found himself wandering closer and closer to the side of the building, and she followed him automatically.
You're so sad, but you're still kind. I don't know how. You should be broken like me, but you...
I can't help you. If you want to help yourself, you need to forget about me and get real help.
No, don't say that. You're confused. Yeah, confused. Poor John is so depressed, he's not thinking straight. He doesn't understand how much I love him.
Oh God.
He needs my help.
The world froze for a moment as the knife glinted, and all he could do was stare at its edge.
You need someone to take care of you. I'll stop everyone who says unkind things about you. No, I should just take you home and keep you there safe, yes. You just need some help.
Where the hell had she gotten that knife? Would she actually use it on him? A second later, John realized that was a foolish thought. This girl had burned down a tree because he said it was stupid. He had no idea if there were any limits on what she might do. And would that really matter? He'd spend nights lying in bed wishing he had never been born, wishing he had a way to end it all. You can't threaten me.
John? Get away from the edge, it's not safe.
He took several steps to the very edge before she could stop him, and turned around to face her. The back end of his shoes hang off the ledge of the building, nothing between him and a fatal fall. My life matters so much to you? Stop toying around with me.
No, you don't understand.
What do you even want? To stab me until I'm yours forever? Is that it?
Never. John is so good and kind. I would never need to stab him. Please come away. I'll take good care of you.
You can't. Maybe you have good intentions, but you need help. And unless you get it, you can only hurt me.
I will. Whatever you want, I promise. Just don't hurt yourself.
It was a lie, of course. She was just saying whatever it took to get him to step away from the edge. It was exactly how he'd imagined it would go. He'd stand at the edge and everyone would say all kinds of lies about how much he mattered to them because they'd care for the first time. Not about him, but about the idea of him. But the look in her eyes, that couldn't be faked. It might be a twisted love, but she loved him utterly. She needed help too. Maybe he could be the one to help her? Assuming she didn't stab him. But what the hell was he living for anyway? Lizzie, would you make a promise with me?
A promise?
I'll step away, I'll talk to you, or let you leave notes in my locker, whatever it is you want. But you have to listen to me and get some help. Can you do that?
You promise? You promise you won't leave me if I say yes?
I won't leave you, Lizzie.
Forever?
The answer stuck in his throat, and he hesitated, wondering if he wasn't making a mistake and saying too much, but in the end, he swallowed and nodded. Forever. Now set down the knife and now... Whoops! As he started to step away, John lost his balance and fell backwards. Suddenly he was in a free fall, nothing between him and cold pavement. At that moment, Lizzie lunged forward, insanely fast, and grabbed his wrist. Impossibly, she held him up. Her body was thin, yet somehow she had stopped his fall, and held him up with one hand. Her eyes held a mixture of unstable fear and twisted desire. In that moment, he knew with absolute certainty that if he had fallen, she would have thrown herself off after him.
You can't die, John. You're the only one. The only one.
Alrighty, so I hate to be that guy, but I'm gonna wrap it up here for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. And yes, this is a purpose cliffhanger because if you guys enjoyed, want to see some more, you let me know. We'll come back, we'll pick up from here, keep doing the entire thing. If there's enough interest, we could even jump into the second one as I mentioned earlier. Otherwise, all the information for this game will be down below in the description in case you want to pick it up for yourselves. It's fairly cheap, I think it's like $5 or something like that, so. Thus far, it's pretty cool. I'm not sure where the story's going from here, I'm not sure how long it is, but thus far, pretty keen on especially the insanity factor of this girl here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I will catch you next time.